Landon Thomas Jr. would use Epstein for access, right? So, and then Epstein would give him tips, like tips in financial shit or whatever, like stock tips, whatever. But also, Landon was a useful patsy, right? He was a useful idiot because Epstein would use him. And Landon Thomas Jr. is the guy who wrote that New Yorker profile.
I'm very excited to have Katie Phang here. Friend,
Hi, everybody.
Katie Phang of the Katie Phang Show. You have to go subscribe to her fantastic YouTube channel. You also have to go subscribe. Katie Phang and I go way back to the time when we were unpaid peons who used to
Can
schlep
you
all the way.
imagine how dumb we were?
She schlepped
I
all the
take
way
it
from
back. We're-
Miami. I schlepped from Virginia for this freaking crack of the dawn morning show on MSNBC, and we're like, we'll do it for free. But then they finally found out that Katie was insanely talented, and then they had her on as like I don't know, a commentator. Then they had as a co-host, and like, you should be hosting your show. And then she hosted her show. She was really successful, and then now she's unleashed and free like Joanne Reed, and she's soaring people. So you have to subscribe to her show. A brilliant legal mind and commentator, and we have fantastic timing because Katie, when you agreed to come on, I had totally forgotten that, of course, the Republicans of the House Oversight Committee would finally, try to have some accountability when it comes to the greatest political scandal of our lifetime, the Epstein scandal and the Epstein cover-up, the massive rape of girls, an international cabal of pedophiles. So finally, of course, they're going to have oversight and accountability, and they're going to invite
The Clintons?
Hillary Clinton to speak.
I'm going to ask Hillary about the seating chart for Chelsea's wedding. I actually, between us chickens, including all of y'all tuning in, I texted Congressman Robert Garcia. You want to know what I texted him?
Please.
God, Robert's probably going to kill me that I texted him this. Whatever, fuck it. This is what I texted him. If they ask more than one question about the seating chart at Chelsea's wedding, please throw something at Comer. Because I don't care. I care, but I really don't. Let's be honest. I don't care if Ghislaine Maxwell attended a wedding. I honestly, I don't care.
What I care about is full transparency. What I care about is accountability. What I care about is you getting to the bottom of who knew what and when. What I want, Katie, is what's happening in Europe, where there's full-fledged, not just criminal investigations, folks, arrests. And I know there's a lot of news, a lot of information. I'll just give a quick recap.
Sure.
In Europe, Lord Mandelson, who was the UK ambassador to the US, he had to resign in September after it was revealed that his ties to Epstein were very extensive, and he lied about it. Not only did he resign, his resignation has shocked and reeled Keir Starmer's government. They're saying Starmer won't survive. Furthermore, they just arrested Mandelson last week because, folks, there are now criminal investigations. And unfortunately, the criminal investigation does not, Katie, have anything to do with the rape of girls. It's about leaking sensitive information, but nonetheless, some form of accountability. Katie, Andrew is no longer Prince Andrew. He's just Andrew.
Former prince, yeah.
He was arrested on his 66th birthday for allegedly sharing sensitive information during his time as traded.
Same crime as Mandelson. Yeah, Mandelson. Yeah.
I wish it would have been for, I don't know, allegations of rape, but this is where we are because the world hates girls. And then in Paris, 2 criminal investigations, Katie, as of last week, one into Epstein sex trafficking, one into money laundering. Katie, you're an attorney. Can you tell us what's happening here in the United States?
Nothing. Not like in Europe. But look, I just wanted to quickly say about the Mandelson Andrew stuff, because I had actually, it was kind of funny. I got to Mandelson by way of another guy that I was covering from the Epstein Files, who was a New York Times journalist, because Mandelson's this guy name is Landon Thomas Jr. And he was pretty much like a patsy for Epstein. Like, he would use Epstein for access to, what is that? That guy, the guy who stepped down the Emirati. What is his name? Anyway,
The
so
Sultan. Yeah, the
yeah, the
Sultan.
Sultan yeah, bin Salman. So
Yeah.
anyway, so
Right.
Landon Thomas Jr. would use Epstein for access, right? So and then Epstein would give him tips, like tips in financial shit or whatever, like stock tips, whatever. But also, Landon was a useful patsy, right? He was a useful idiot because Epstein would use him. And Landon Thomas Jr. is the guy who wrote that New Yorker profile that was kind of like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein's just a bon vivant, like man about town kind of shit. But it's that famous New Yorker magazine article wherein Donald Trump was on speakerphone saying, yeah, Jeffrey's a great guy. We hang out. And, Jeffrey likes the girls like I do, maybe a little bit younger, which just goes to show that Trump knew about Epstein for years. But it led me to Peter Mandelson, and I did the deep dive and went down the rabbit hole about Peter Mandelson, and I covered it on my YouTube channel. And then I covered the Andrew, arrest, whatever. But this is what I want to tell people. I understand that they haven't been arrested for child sex trafficking and all this other stuff. They've been arrested, though, for a common law offense in Great Britain, which is punishable by life in prison.
Yep.
Okay? And the reason why I want to emphasize that for everybody is between the two of them, former Prince Andrew is such a baby. If he could cut a deal, both of them are going to cut a deal. And I think Andrew is going to be the first to do it. And it doesn't mean that you only have to give information that's relevant to abuse of public trust by misusing your office, your public office, by transmitting confidential, secret government information. If I have information of value to any investigation, then I have information of value. And the reason why I say that is we may be seeing a lot of information coming out of Mandelson and Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew, that has nothing to do with the passing along of government information, has everything to do with the sex trafficking ring that Epstein had. And as we know, former Prince Andrew was tied to the Epstein trafficking orbit by way of Ghislaine Maxwell,
Yep.
who swears up and down she did nothing wrong, and
Mm.
this is just all like a horrible moment, and blah, blah, blah. So it's funny how if you put pressure in ways through a law enforcement tactic that's, kosher and legal, you could actually end up having Ghislaine Maxwell feeling pressure to have to come clean if Andrew's sitting there implicating her on a lot of stuff. It's kind of amazing to me that this is all happening, though, across the pond, and it's not happening here where we have access to, the DOJ files. But I also want to say it doesn't also mean that we only have all of the files here. There could be other documents that are a part of the Epstein orbit that are in other countries and other places. And you know what you didn't mention that I'm really happy. I'm speaking to the New Mexico state representative tomorrow on
For a
my
rank.
YouTube channel. New Mexico representative who launched the subcommittee legislation for Zorro Ranch.
Yep.
They've already started meeting as of last week. And I'm interviewing her tomorrow because I want to talk about what happened at Zorro Ranch and why the feds told the New Mexico Attorney General and the New Mexico law enforcement to stand down in 2019 and to stop doing any investigation. I want to know what the hell happened there. So there is accountability happening. It's just not happening at the pace that we want. And now we have this shit show in Chappaqua, New York today over Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Let me be polite. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton being deposed today, even though she swears through a sworn declaration under penalties of perjury that she never had contact with Jeffrey Epstein and only knew Ghislaine Maxwell occasionally through stuff. I mean, what a colossal waste of time.
And also, folks, she demanded that it be made public.
Yeah.
They didn't make it public. They make it
Oh.
closed door because they knew Hillary Clinton's been through this with Benghazi. They knew that Clinton has nothing, folks. If they had anything on Clinton, anything on Hillary Clinton, I guarantee you it would have been leaked to Benny Johnson and right-wing media. I guarantee you there'd be investigation. This is just a shit show. This is to besmirch and hurt liberals. But, folks, guess what? Clintons aren't in office. People don't care. They want accountability. They want transparency. And they know the person who is mentioned more than any other individual in the Epstein files, even more than Epstein, is Donald Trump. Jamie Raskin said that his name could be up there up to 1 million times. And what we know, Katie, I know you've been covering this as well, is last year, the FBI, a unit in the FBI was tasked not with, investigating the leads, not with, bringing justice to the women who were raped as girls. Oh, no.
They're scrubbing it. Yep.
They were tasked to sit for 24 to 48 hours and not leave until they found every single name of Donald Trump and scrubbed it. And there was so much, Katie, that they didn't even succeed. In fact, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. I'm going to go ahead and say that some of these FBI agents were perhaps so horrified by some of the evidence that they found, the allegations they found against Donald Trump, that did you just notice, Katie, in both leaks, shockingly, there's little tidbits and nuggets there showing Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein. And speaking about the latest news that Roger Sollenberger, I had him on yesterday, I had him on last week when he was the one who broke it. Roger
Oh,
Sollenberger.
yeah, he's great.
He
Those
was the,
missing 53 pages. Holy shit. Roger's great, by the way. Roger did some great coverage of Matt Gaetz. You guys remember Matt Gaetz? That's another I like him young guy.
yeah,
Remember
but,
him? Roger did some amazing coverage of Matt Gaetz, by the way. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to ask you about this, but folks, we have just the sham of it. You have Hillary Clinton just paraded out in the circus, right? House Oversight Committee, but they're not going to bring Donald Trump. And what Roger found out from the latest Epstein files is the FBI, for those who haven't followed the story, there's a credible witness. Katie's a lawyer. She'll tell you just because a witness is credible doesn't mean that what they're saying is truthful, but it means they're not cranks. They're credible. As a 13-year-old, she alleges in the 80s, she was sexually assaulted by both Epstein and Donald Trump. The FBI interviewed her 4 times, people.
4 times.
Not once, 4 times. They created summaries 4 times of her. There was an internal slideshow last year created by the DOJ about her, 21-page slideshow. And I don't know if you know this fact, Katie. Just wanted to throw this out there. In 2019, she gave her first interview. In 2019, she gave her second interview. 3 days after her second interview, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead. 1 day after the FBI inputted her first interview into the database, Jeffrey Epstein was found murdered. Oh, I'm sorry, dead by suicide. Katie, your response to that bombshell?
Well, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think Jeffrey Epstein died at his own hand. Just like I don't think Jean-Luc Brunel
I was going to get
died
there.
at his own hand. I covered that last week about the fact that in 2016, Jean-Luc Brunel was supposed to have been given total immunity to testify and to cooperate against Jeffrey Epstein, and then Brunel went dark.
That's right.
He ended up probably getting paid off by Epstein, and then eventually French authorities caught him as he was trying to flee to Senegal, and then he was taken into custody. He was facing trial. Mysteriously died by way of hanging in his prison cell, which is the way that Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously died, by way of hanging in his prison cell.
I'm really glad you did that deep dive in Jean-Luc Brunel, and I want to just let's just stand up for a second.
He was one of the worst, by the way.
And you tell people, because I think, as we mentioned, folks, Paris, just sit with this for a second, folks. As a result of our Department of Justice in the United States of America releasing some of the Epstein files, heads are rolling in Europe. Investigations have started in Europe. There's arrests in Europe. Meanwhile, DOJ, no such arrests. And as Katie is saying, Wall Street Journal did a great piece a couple of days ago that said Jean-Luc Brunel in 2016 got right there to the wire to speak out against Trump, against Epstein. At the last second, disappeared, then gets arrested, found dead via suicide in a cell in 2022. Paris has opened up 2 investigations. Can you talk to us about Jean-Luc Brunel? Because I think that's a big node.
So Jean-Luc Brunel was one of the chief facilitators on the trafficking side. Brunel himself, was a participant in the child sex abuse. But I focused a lot on Brunel's facilitation by the creation of a modeling agency called MC2 with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was the financier for that modeling agency. That agency was used to recruit and bring underage girls to the United States out of Europe and other countries, and it was used to secure their work visas. But it was the emotional manipulation. You take a little girl out of her home and promise her the moon and these big dreams of being a successful model, and you bring her with no friends and no family. They were staying in Epstein-controlled and owned apartments as a part of this modeling agency. And then you threaten them, unless they do sex acts and other horrific things, you threaten to pull their visas. Where are they going to go? I mean, they are left to the wolves. And so we have evidence that Jean-Luc Brunel was a part of this. And then he had a falling out, and so he sued Epstein. And then there was all these emails that we found in the Epstein files where a local lawyer from South Florida representing Brunel was suing Epstein down here. And there was this idea that if, he got $3 million, then maybe he wouldn't go to the feds the following week. But we had handwritten notes by a United States attorney in the Southern District of New York that said very clearly that Brunel had been given or offered full immunity back in 2016 to be able to not testify against Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, there's a lot more details, but I think you guys get the picture, right? These guys were buddy-buddy. These guys would, be a part of each other's disgusting worlds, and yet they did it under the guise of a legitimate business, which just goes to show that there's a reason why this sex trafficking ring was so successful for so long, right?
And
People either were like a part of it, or they facilitated it, or they enabled it, or they turned a blind eye. They were complicit in some way. But they really perfected, Ghislaine, Brunel, and others, they really perfected the art of preying on and grooming
that's
these
right.
little girls, these children. And they knew, as we heard for Virginia Giuffre, they knew how to find kids, especially that were broken,
Yep.
that either were in financial straits that needed help, or, that just needed just a place. And I've seen it when I've looked at the emails from some of the victims to Jeffrey Epstein, wherein, he'll manipulate it and he'll be like, I don't want to, spend any time with you. And it hurts me, because it hurts you in your heart. You see these responses from these girls. It's like, I'm so sorry, Jeffrey. Do you want me to be with another girl? Would that
Mm,
make you happy?
mm.
What can I do? And it's amazing how much of a power and force he had in these girls' lives to make them feel so submissive and make them feel so inferior that he was able to control them so much.
And I want to remind everyone that in 2019, when Epstein was arrested by the FBI had a list of 10 co-conspirators. We know the names of 3 of the 10 co-conspirators. The names are, wait for it, folks, shocking surprise, especially after what you heard Katie say, Jean-Luc Brunel, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Leslie Wexner.
Hmm.
Those are the 3 names that we know of. I'm very curious, what about the other 7 names? We also found out with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, after they spent just 2 hours at SCIF and went through the database, they found out 6 names that the DOJ had scrubbed. One of those names, Katie, was Leslie Wexner. We know that Virginia Giuffre mentioned that she was trafficked to Leslie Wexner. We know that Leslie Wexner gave Jeffrey Epstein hundreds of millions of dollars, plus the $70 million townhouse, which was, folks, where he raped girls and which was described as the crown jewel of New York real estate. Leslie Wexner, out of the kindness of his heart, as one does, Katie, just gifted this to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sure you saw his clips of his deposition last week. They finally deposed him. 88 years old, Katie, seemed sharp as a tack, remembered random details about boating incidents. And I don't know if you saw this, because I haven't talked to you. This was my take. And you're a prosecutor, you're an attorney, you remember this. When asked about Trump, Leslie Wexner said, you know, as part of my, dealings as the former CEO of Victoria's Secret Unlimited, I had to go to fashion shows. And at these fashion shows, I saw Epstein. And I saw Epstein with Trump. And I found it interesting why Trump was there at a fashion show, even though that was not his business. My takeaway from that, Katie, was Leslie was signaling to the Trump administration and Trump, I have goods, and you better protect me or else I'll spill. But your take on the Wexner of it all.
Well, who wasn't at that depot? Oh, the Republicans from fucking House Oversight. Not a single Republican from House Oversight bothered to go to the Les Wexner depot. But what did they do today? Big old press conference in front of Chappaqua Center where they're deposing Hillary Clinton, right? We're here because we're here to get to the truth. Why would you not be at the depot of the guy that is all over the Epstein files,
All over.
that was asshole buddies with Epstein financially and otherwise? Why wouldn't you be at that depot? Because we know it's just for show. It's performative for these Republicans. And today, having Comer do that presser and he's flanked by Nancy Mason, Lauren Boebert of all people, please.
Yeah.
Please. Like,
It's
I don't need your theatrics. I need answers. And I haven't seen you depose Steve Bannon. I am
Nope.
so fucking hot to trot about Steve Bannon. You guys have no idea. Why is Steve Bannon? Heck, why are we not questioning Woody Allen? Woody Allen spent a whole lot of goddamn time at that place too, right? It's like there are so many other people that we could be talking to other than the Clintons. That being said, I want to make something explicitly clear. If there is something that either Bill or Hillary Clinton knew or was involved in, then they should be held accountable for their actions as well. I'm
100%.
more interested, frankly, in the Bill Clinton depot tomorrow than I am in Hillary Clinton's depot. There is a nothing burger today with Hillary Clinton. There may be something tomorrow with Bill Clinton. I don't know. But you know what? That's why I'm sick and tired of having mainstream media show Donald Trump saying, I'm exonerated. How have you been exonerated? I haven't seen a single piece of paper that shows that there's been an investigation into you. Show me the investigation. Show me that it was done credibly and in good faith and that you were exonerated. But until that happens for everybody who's mentioned in the Epstein files that may be in this orbit in this way, sorry, I don't think you're exonerated for shit.
No,
So,
not exonerated at all. Not
sorry,
exonerated at all,
not
Katie.
exonerated at all. So
And
let's go. There's
and
people that have more value when it comes to evidentiary, value than Hillary Clinton. Although Bill Clinton,
Donald
who
Trump.
knows?
I mean, of all people, Donald Trump, Katie, I want to remind people that Michael Wolff was also problematic, but nonetheless has hundreds of hours of conversation with Jeffrey Epstein. He released the audio clip of Jeffrey Epstein saying that he was Donald Trump's closest friend. We have videos, we have photos, we have eyewitness testimonies that
I got
Epstein.
problems with Michael Wolff. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we all have problems with Michael Wolff. That Epstein and Trump partied together, that they were in Mar-a-Lago, and when there were these parties, they were the only two men surrounded by girls. We have what we just found out as of last week, a credible accusation against Donald Trump going back to the 80s of a 13-year-old girl that said he sexually assaulted her. The
Yes.
FBI interviewed her 4 times and still has not explained why they scrubbed 3 of those interview summaries. I've read their explanations. Their explanations make no sense whatsoever. Someone should ask, why did you scrub these 3 interview summaries? Who's the girl? What did you discover? Why did you do a 21-page slideshow? There's 24 accounts of women who have accused Donald Trump of sexually assaulting them. We know that Donald Trump, speaking of what Katie said, I think it's very important, the sophisticated nature, Katie, of this grooming system, the sophisticated nature of this trafficking system, the sophisticated nature where they treated women, girls like
Gross.
property and laundered their sex trafficking through a veneer of modeling agencies, right? Through a veneer of, I talked to Jennifer Kunings, who used to work at Sinai Hospital. She mentioned how through Sinai Hospital, Glenn Dubin and his wife, Eva Dubin was reportedly Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend. Glenn Dubin is one of these men who keeps coming up again and again and again, also through Virginia Giuffre, the billionaire who raped her and other girls. They spent millions of dollars to create the cancer ward of
Mhm.
Mount Sinai.
Well,
And the
that's how you get your credibility. You slap your name on a cancer ward, and now everybody's like, "Well, we may hear rumors about some untoward shit, but we're kinda gonna turn a blind eye to it because look at him giving that money for the cancer ward."
There you go. There you go. And not
How
only
about
that,
him giving $40,000 to the Palm Beach sheriff's people, the police department that was supposed to be investigating him down the street? You
that's right.
know, he gave 40,000. He bought like all this stuff. I mean, power, money, and influence is what's happening here, right? I mean, how do you not say, at the State of the Union, the People's State of the Union that I did with Joy on
Yeah.
Tuesday night, which feels like it was like a year ago now. But when we were there, Charlene Rochard, an Epstein victim, directly testified, directly spoke to the American people, and Waj, she's like, how do we not show our children that we care about them. We show our children that we care about them by doing something to protect them. And we can't protect our children if we don't have the truth.
That's right.
Right?
And that was very powerful. And the fact is, folks, I always want to center, and we always try our best to center, is that these girls who are now women were raped. They were trafficked. They were gaslit. In 2008, we still don't have an answer, Katie, as to why Alex Acosta, Florida's U.S. attorney, who later became the labor secretary under Donald Trump, why he gave Jeffrey Epstein that sweetheart deal, where Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to plead guilty only on 2 counts, given 13-month sentence, stayed out of jail for 6 of the 7 days of the week while he was raping girls with his ankle monitor. This plea deal was made without the consent or even the knowledge of the nearly 3 dozen victims. He just did it. And now we know, I don't know if you saw this, Katie, this came out yesterday through the K Files. I just want to, folks, it will infuriate you. I'm going to quote these texts. Text messages show Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly messaging the Virgin Islands governor in
That's right.
2019, complaining about regulatory action against unauthorized construction on his private islands. Across months of exchanges, the governor told Epstein he was intervening on his behalf. Some of the texts, we got you. For you, absolutely. I asked him to recuse himself and concede on all previous permit requests.
Well, how about, because I just did an episode for my YouTube channel that's going to drop later about the following. So apparently there was a federal probe. I want to read this to you. This was
Please.
amazing. This is more Miami Herald, amazing Miami Herald reporting. It's Lily Brown.
Oh, that was today, the one that just came out, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did an episode on it. In 2020, there was a federal probe into whether U.S. Customs and Border Protection turned a blind eye to the young female passengers Epstein flew into the St. Thomas airport on his private plane. And when you hear this, you're going to lose your mind too. You're going to lose your mind. Records show Epstein worked to get into the good graces of the Customs and Border Patrol officers that worked at the U.S. Virgin Islands. A Herald investigation in 2023 found that CBP officers paid little mind to the young women and girls that Epstein was shuttling through the St. Thomas airport following his 2008 Palm Beach conviction for soliciting a minor for sex. At the time, Epstein was a convicted sex offender subject to the same restrictions in St. Thomas as he was in Florida and New York. In 2010, he wrote an email to Cecile de Jong, the wife of the U.S. Virgin Islands governor who had worked for Epstein for 2 decades. He complained he was having difficulty with an official from CBP at that airport in St. Thomas. Quote, "Who is in charge of customs in the VI? I used to have a great relationship with Gloria Lambert, the airport supervisor. I would like to know who is now in her place or her boss," Epstein wrote to Cecile de Jong, referring to the customs official at the airport. De Jong promised a call would be made to the head of customs. She would not comment for the Herald story. Guess what? Give that fucking lady a congressional subpoena and come answer some questions about what you knew and what you did. That has more value than a Hillary Clinton depot tip.
That's right.
And you don't have to look far to find people that have evidentiary value. I mean, it's just bonkers that we're not focusing on the people that are constantly showing up in the Epstein files. Let's start with the person who shows up the most and work our way down. Why is that so novel? You know?
And I just shared this article, Julie Brown. I shared the gift link that she shared about her latest article about how Jeffrey Epstein beat the system. And folks, literally, if you're turning in right now, Hillary Clinton, of all people, is giving a closed door, I don't know, circus. Just nonsense performance where she's being grilled by the House Oversight Committee. Her opening statement, which it's 4 pages, which she posted, I thought was very strong.
Yes.
Where she's asking them questions like, what, if I were in your position, I would do this, I would do that, I would do this, I would do this, I would investigate this. If you really care about trafficking the girls, but they don't care. They don't care. And what I've said, Katie, and I've been saying this since the summer. I said it with Lev Parnas. I said that we are witnessing the biggest political cover-up in modern history. And I talked to Ro Khanna, which, gosh, every day seems like 4 years. I think it was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ro, I think this is the biggest political cover-up in modern history. And Ro said, in the summer, I probably wouldn't have gone that far and used that language.
Yeah,
Now,
but now,
I agree. Who else said that? Hillary Clinton in her BBC interview about a week and a half.
yeah, she just did that interview this month. Yeah.
I feel like in this situation, Katie, as a former prosecutor, well, you're still a licensed attorney, but as a
Yeah.
prosecutor, if you can do this, I'm going to ask you to just put on this prosecutor hat. You have this information ahead of you, right? You and me have spent our time with our journalistic hat on, trying to like follow the data, right? You know about John-Luc Brunel, you know about the modeling agencies, you know about Trump, you know about the allegations, you know about Ghislaine Maxwell, you know about Leslie Wexner, you know about Leon Black. We have enough notes, and now we have the Epstein files. We see where he seeded money, right? If you had your prosecutor hat on and you wanted to get justice for these girls, what would you do right now if you had your druthers, if they unleashed you?
If I was the Attorney General of the United States, especially because I wanna caveat what I am saying with this. I call it the most powerful law firm in the world, and I don't say it as a joke. The United States government is the most powerful law firm in the world. The Department of Justice has subpoena power like you wouldn't believe, right? Investigatory power like you wouldn't believe. If you think about it, the Department of Justice interfaced directly with the FBI. I mean, they have the ability to be able to get um, to things, to people in ways that, regular citizens can't. I would take, and I'm not going to ask you for a lot, I would take maybe a quarter of what's been earmarked from the big bullshit bill to DHS and ICE,
Mm,
right? I don't even need all of it. I don't think they should have all of it. I don't need all of it. Give me a quarter of it. Give me a few $1 billion to work with, and I would get you your answers. Because I'm not driven by the statute of limitations if it exists for particular crimes. I want to get answers. And I think what we haven't seen here is we haven't seen a nuts to bolts A to Z investigation of these people.
nope.
And I think what they have done has been incredibly intentional in the way that they've rolled out the data to us as Americans. They have insulted our intelligence and presumed that we don't have the critical thinking skills to be able to assess the value of this information that's being provided. But in litigation terms, we used to call it a document dump or a data dump, right? It was, I want to hide the smoking gun or the needle in the haystack in a huge, and there was a time when I'm still a lawyer, but there was a time when it was literally before we had this advent of all of this, um, PDF crap. Like it would literally be documents and documents and documents. And they would have that like one smoking gun piece of paper, in these huge boxes, these huge banker boxes, Wash. But my problem is this: I can't trust that what has been produced so far. I know for a fact it's not complete because I have Blanche saying there's 3 million documents that are being withheld illegally, I might add, because they don't meet the statutory exemptions that have been provided for pursuant to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But I don't trust Pamela Joe or Todd Blanche that their representations are accurate, which is why I have been saying publicly, and I did say this to Ro Khanna privately, I'm like, y'all need to coordinate with the victims to get a special master. The
That's right.
special master route was so smart, but because they, as in Congress, didn't have standing to get the special master appointed by the federal judge in New York, I need the victims to do this. I need a vehicle to get that done because a special master has the power to sanction, to compel, and to get actual answers. It's like literally asking somebody to police themselves. And I don't trust that Pamela Joe and Todd Blanche would police themselves. But this is why all of this gets us down to one, accountability, and it's got to be day one in November.
That's right.
We cannot. If you think about how effective we've been with just a handful of Democrats on House Oversight, like Garcia, Jasmine Crockett and others, Yasemin Ansari, et cetera, like you look at what they've been able to do, and then you look at Pamela Joe's response in her Senate hearing to Tom Massey. Tom Massey, in my mind, asked three of the best questions of the entire day. He asked her about how can you tell us who at the DOJ messed up these redactions,
That's right.
right? And instead of answering him and saying, I know we messed up and, we're working on it or whatever, she called him a failed politician and that he was suffering from Trump derangement syndrome.
I remember that.
That's a Republican, right? So think about how much work we could do if we had Democrats that controlled it all. And I just think that that's what we need to stay motivated by. If I had the money and the resources, could get a lot of shit done. I look at what we've done with you, Ellie Leonard, others, right? Like, just all of us as Americans that care, we've done a lot of legwork so far. But could you imagine if we had it done in a way where it's actually all organized together, how powerful that would be, especially if you had the backing of the Department of Justice subpoena to go and get stuff done? I mean, that's what we need, but we're not having it right now with these people.
We're not having it. And I wanted to ask another question because you're putting on your attorney hat. You're still licensed. I'm still licensed too, by the way, believe it or not, folks.
I know
Um,
you are.
the Glenn Maxwell of all. I don't normalize this. I always bring back to when people say, watch, cover up, really? Can you explain, Katie, why? Why, oh, why is Glenn Maxwell in a minimum security camp getting pampered with a dog and yoga lessons?
Well, Pam Bondi should have answered that question, and she didn't. She punted it to the Bureau of Prisons. So what I don't understand is why somebody hasn't hauled somebody from the Bureau of Prisons in to answer. They make it seem like these are impossible asks, and yet they're not. They're just the logical follow up is I find it hard to believe that you don't know. I think it's kind of embarrassing for you not to know as the Attorney General of the United States. But assuming you're telling the truth, who's the person at the Bureau of Prisons that would know?
It's
Just give me their name. And then just subpoena their
and
asses. What's wrong?
who authorized them to do a once in a lifetime transfer that is never given to anybody with her criminal background?
Well,
Who?
she said it was Todd Blanche. So why is Todd
Um,
Blanche not being hauled in front of House Oversight to answer questions about it? Why is Todd Blanche not answering questions about what he offered to Ghislaine Maxwell when he sat down with her for 9 hours over 2 days in Tallahassee, Florida, before she got shipped out to Club Fed? What? Like he has some type of immunity from having to answer? No, no.
and it was less than and the timing of it, folks. Todd Blanche, who's Donald Trump's personal attorney, who's now Deputy Attorney General, he spends those 9 hours with Glenn Maxwell, and less than a week after that meeting, she gets transferred. Less than a week later, she gets transferred, and twice.
And less than a week before Todd Blanche sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell, guess who got fired? Maureen Comey, who was the lead trial lawyer at the Southern District of New York on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases. I mean, she got fired less than a week before Blanche rolled out to go down and visit his buddy Ghislaine. Here's the thing. Somebody put in the chat, our good friend Allison Gill tried to get that information from BOP, from Bureau of Prisons. You know what the problem is, folks? The only way that we as average people are able to get it is through a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA Act, et cetera, right? Like, and you know what they do? They drag ass. They don't actually respond. And then we're forced to have to sue and then whatever. I mean, look, that's why you actually have to have some power behind what you're doing. And I'm not saying that we are powerless. In fact, we have more power than we're giving ourselves credit for. But when it comes to this process, as you ask, Waj, you got to have people who actually are in those positions of power to be able to drive this across the finish line. Because right now, I don't want to be Debbie Downer about this. We are uncovering so much amazing shit, but it's piecemeal, right? It's like a little bit here, a little bit there. And I appreciate the value of it, but we need the connect the dots moments
That's
too,
correct.
right? We need to put it all together in a way that kind of shows it. Somebody actually asked me, Katie, do you have one of those Homeland walls with like the person and like the name and the string and all sorts of crazy shit? And
Zev has one.
admittedly,
Zev. I don't know if you know Zev Shalev has one
Shalev.
online,
Yeah.
and he has this node. It's actually really interesting. This digital node, and it's just like that, Katie. But it's like digital, and it shows you like the main nodes, like the John Luke Brunels and the Leslie Wexners and the Peter Thiels.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's an entire web. It's an entire web of complicit actors who worked in tandem with billionaires, wealthy people, and pedophiles, either raping girls, helping them rape girls, covering up the rape of girls, and or being perfectly fine with the rape of girls if that meant it helped them get information, access, and money. It's absolutely disgusting that this is happening. And you know, the person who they're interviewing right now, I don't know if we share this, but we just have to. For folks, Republicans are more interested in podcasting and shit posting than actually, governing. We also found out that the rules for today was, even though Hillary Clinton and tomorrow Bill Clinton wanted this to be public, they said no, 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 it's going to be behind closed doors.
That's right.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Closed doors, and also the Republicans told everyone, hey, no photos, nothing released. Good old Lauren Boebert Lauren Boebert shared an unauthorized
Lauren Beetlejuice Boobert.
Beetlejuice,
Yes.
Beetlejuice. Wow, we won't say it 3 times because then she might appear with a gun. She shared an unauthorized photo from the hearing with Katie Benny Johnson, who then
Oh,
posted it on social media, which then led to them doing a brief recess because people saw that on their phones that, oh, one of our members is literally breaking protocol, sharing photos that she's not supposed to share, and it already got published by friggin' right wing hack Benny Johnson.
Benny Johnson, no less. But but that just goes to show she doesn't really care. That's why I said, look, I appreciate the small gestures of decency when we get them from Republicans. But remember we had this conversation about MTG, remember?
That's
It's
right.
like you can't go very far with them, can you? Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, MTG saying, release the Epstein files, believe the victims, believe the women, that's fine. But what is this shit? How old are you? You
Exactly.
take a picture of Hillary Clinton and then you leak it to Benny Johnson? Like, for what? Like, it just goes to show that they're not taking this seriously, which also, you know what? Look, in some ways, Waj, let them do this stupid, dumb shit, right? It just goes to show that James Comer standing up there, Comer Pile, as I call him, like him standing up
That's good.
there saying,
Points.
we're
2
here
points.
for justice. We're here to get the answers. Please, you're not. You're just here. He was like, let me talk about the history of how they were thwarting their subpoenas. Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you ask Jim Jordan how that worked? Jim Jordan, who still hasn't answered questions,
Nope.
you know, wrestling Jim Jordan. Let's ask him some questions
GYM
too,
Jordan.
right? Mm. So
Uh,
I mean, but look, it just shows how unserious they are, which again gets me back to my preachy, which is get the Democrats in office so that we're running these things, that we're really running oversight.
and not just, I'll say it, it's not only that they're unserious, to add more severity to it, it's a deliberate, intentional cover up. They're not stupid. They've seen the files, they've seen all the information that we've seen. They know they're protecting their king and daddy, the term they use, not me, Donald Trump. They're protecting a man who has been held liable for raping E. Jean Carroll, a man who's had 2 dozen credible accusations of sexual assault, a man who partied with Epstein. The information is there, folks. Allegedly, Donald Trump raped girls. There's enough there. He has not been exonerated. And Donald Trump has said, it's time to move on. It really isn't. We've just hit the tip of the iceberg. So, what they're engaging in right now, folks, with this theater with Hillary Clinton, like I agree with Katie. Hillary, Bill, I don't care who it, Bill Gates, Larry Summers, who resigned, whoever's there, if you know something and you did something dirty, I don't care if you're a Democrat, a liberal, a progressive, an academic that I like, go to hell. But the person that we know who partied with Epstein and was his closest friend and is mentioned more than any other person in the Epstein files is Donald Trump. And they do not want to ask Donald Trump any questions, but rather they want to talk to Hillary Clinton. And also, Katie, the reason why they're not doing it public is they know Hillary would drag their ass publicly and would make them look bad, which is why they're doing it behind closed doors.
She did 9 hours in 2015 on Benghazi
No,
questioning. I
she's
mean,
got training.
that was a marathon, and she schooled them. Trey Gowdy was one of them. Look, here's the thing. Congressman Garcia said it best this morning when he did that quick presser before they went in. And it really is true. Tomorrow, very much so, you'll have a former president of the United States testifying under oath in front of a House Oversight Committee about the Epstein connections, right? That sets a precedent.
That's right.
Okay. It's a former Democratic president who will sit under oath and be questioned about Jeffrey Epstein. That is long ball. That is chess, not checkers.
Mm.
So, what's Donald Trump's excuse going to be? A former president, the guy who had your job before you and did it way better than you, he sat in the hot seat. So let's go. Let's go. Because I find it to be the ultimate hypocrisy that Comer and the Republicans can just accept Trump on Air Force One saying, I'm exonerated, and take that for gospel. But when Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton submit written sworn declarations under penalties of perjury, laying out their contacts and or relationships with, if any, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, etc., why is that insufficient?
Why?
Because it's not. I mean, you put a sworn declaration in, Waj, and you lie, you're found to have lied, you can be prosecuted, right? But it's not like Donald Trump has submitted anything in a sworn fashion, has he? No. Him standing on Air Force One, looking all brain-addled and stupid, that in and of itself is not being under oath. So put up or shut up time. Right?
Katie, it's time to move on. This is a hoax. Epstein is a hoax.
Do you have your foundation on your
Epstein's
hands?
Epstein's a hoax. I'm covering it up. There's nothing. My palm is the most masculine palm on earth. Glenn Maxwell. I wish her well. I wish her
I
well.
wish her well.
I wish
I
her well.
have it. Will you pardon? Are you going to issue a pardon or a commutation, Mr. President, to Glenn Maxwell? Well,
Twice she was asked. Twice.
well. I didn't hear no.
I
Right?
didn't hear no either, Katie.
I didn't hear no. I
To
didn't hear
my
no.
knowledge, twice he was asked. Katie, can you stay for 10 minutes? Because Lev just texted me. He has some breaking news.
I can stay till 2:59. I can do that.
All right, let's do it. Stay for 2:59, 4 minutes. I'll bring Lev on.
Oh, great.
I think, Katie, to your point, Republicans are shameless. They don't care. I don't think Donald
Katie.
Lev Parnas, look at you.
Lev, hey, how's it going? We got Katie for 3 minutes. Use your 3 minutes with Katie very wisely.
Katie, I love you, Katie. Well, I need you to definitely look into the Washington Post article that came out today having to do with Tulsi Gabbard. I've been working about this for the past month. Me and Wash, I've been talking about this. They've been covering up, but now exactly what my source have been telling me, they are now switching this into to be able to have Trump be able to federalize the elections. What they're having is
With the China stuff, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I said. It was going to be China or Venezuela. It's China. And now they're going to push it. And now I'm also hearing indictments are coming down in Georgia very shortly. So there's a bunch there. I'm going to be doing a live later on to do a full outbreak. I wanted to make sure I gave you the news and watch, but my sources are telling me that while all of this is out, so the media is all over the place. This is what Trump's major. This is what Stephen Miller, Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, also Ratcliffe is involved as part of the team. The CIA director, obviously, also Pam Bondi and also Patel. It's a major. This is what their whole election reform is about, and this is what should be the number one thing we all talk about besides the Epstein file right now. And we need to blow this up because if they get away with this, we're screwed.
Insurrection Act, emergency.
That's it. Yeah, emergency act, and I'm hearing it like really
Katie,
serious.
I'm mindful of your time. Can you please shamelessly promote yourself to the 3,000 people who are watching you? Your brilliance.
Oh my God, you guys are so sweet. Yeah, I mean, I'm here on Substack at Katie Phang and at all other social media platforms at Katie Phang. And my YouTube channel is Katie Phang News. And I would love your support. However, you guys can't listen. I just love this community. This Substack community is spectacular. I love the opportunity to hang out with you, Waj, and you, Lev, and everybody else who is here. You guys are fantastic always. And look, we had an incredible People State of the Union the other night with Joy Reid. I was very proud to be doing that counter programming. And the members of Congress that boycotted, that joined us, they were great. They were proud. But I was incredibly, incredibly privileged to be with Americans who were impacted, Epstein survivors, people that have had their healthcare premiums absolutely jacked up. I mean, those were the people that we needed to hear from because they are our union and our State of the Union is not good. And so I'm just grateful that y'all tuned in and you showed us some love and support because those people felt it and they knew it. So thanks to everybody. And thanks, Lev, for the inside track. I've been following the Fulton County stuff pretty closely. But I will say that you are right. The through line through all of what we're doing right now and dealing with is for Trump and the Republicans to rig and to steal November 2026.
Yeah,
that's all of it.
And 2028.
Yeah, they got to start with 26.
Exactly, 2026. Exactly. So
Save Act, mail-in ballots, Tulsi Gabbard showing up with the FBI raid indictments, folks. It's all for them to rig it, especially as they see that they might not only just lose the House, they might lose the Senate, and they might get shellacked in all places. Texas. Katie, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
When you come, everyone, please subscribe to Katie. Go check out her YouTube. I have Lev for 10 minutes. Lev.
Bye, Lev.
Take care, Katie.
Bye, Katie.
Bye, guys.
My other. I'm going to talk to Jennifer Koonings, folks. Jennifer Koonings came on last week and talked about the Sinai Hospital connections to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's big.
How the Dubins used Sinai Hospital to launder and use as a kind of a sidetrack for Epstein to send his girls who were injured. So Jennifer Koenings is now going to come back and talk about how Epstein and all these other people are also into something called transhumanism and eugenics. That'll be in 10 minutes. But Lev, talk to us about this, because I've been trying to follow a whole bunch of stories, but this is something you and me have been warning about. You've seen the signs.
Yeah, no, not only signs. I mean, we've been speaking to, and remember, our sources have been telling us this for already months, since not months, but since months, whenever they raided Georgia, when they had that whole Trump thing, and then all of a sudden they shifted gears, went over to Minnesota, Holman, and then all of a sudden the news cycle changed. But this is the probably the most important thing that's happening right now. I can't imagine anything more important than what they're trying to pull off, and that's basically federalize our elections. The only way they can federalize our elections is Trump understands that it's through the states. He's not going to try to go against the Constitution, because he understands he has lost the Republicans already in a lot of things. His support is very drizzling down in his own party. The GOP is already against him. His numbers are crawling. The only chance they have to be able to stay in power is what we've been talking about, and that's federalization. And what that means is, and today the Washington Post finally broke it. Thank God. Maybe they're watching our Substack watch, or maybe they finally confirmed it through other sources. But finally, they have confirmed it, and now it's out there. What they're saying, what we've been telling you for the past month, that Tulsi Gabbard and the team are trying to say that there was foreign interference in the 2020 elections. China, not Russia, China, like we said, China, and because of that, they're going to be able to, and explains it in there. And I'm going to go live later on to go in full detail.
But isn't it interesting, Lev? There was no interference in 2016 when he won, and no interference in 2024 when he won.
Right.
Interference in 2020 when he lost.
That's right. And the interesting part, it's the federalization, and it's not about doing it to all 50 states. It's about a certain 15, 16 states that he says he won, which he lost. So, I mean, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. We laugh about it because it's craziness. Sometimes you feel like you're living in a Looney Tune world, because it's really playing out in front of our eyes, just like what we're watching with Epstein. We saw at the State of the Union. It was great to finally see you live.
Yeah, we all met.
We got to hang out. It felt like one of those high school reunions that you didn't do in 20 years, where it was really good to be able to stand by each other, and standing there and showing all of those people that showed up, subscribers, all of you guys that could make it, and the support. It was really, really a powerful feeling, and that's why I think we need to project that and keep pushing that, and with the momentum, and stop them, and use this information, because we know this news. We know we can't wait till and this is what I say, watch. We can't wait until it's going to be breaking news. This is what they're doing. They have announced that foreign interference, and now they're going to stop mail-in voting. And all. We have to say, okay, we know this is coming. We see already the signs. I've been talking about. We see you've been talking about. We see now the Washington Post. We need to make this 911. Just like
they're doing it in real time. They're doing it in front of our faces. There's no subtlety, folks.
Exactly. Just we need to sound the alarm, just like we did with the Epstein Files, and say what is going on here. Let's stop it right now before it goes further. First of all, where are the polls? Where do they take the information? What's going on with them? What is happening? We need transparency. And why is Tulsi Gabbard? How is China all of a sudden? Questions. This is a real SOS, folks. And I don't mean to sound the alarm, but we've been talking about this for a month, and now the Washington Post has confirmed it. And it's just the beginning, because, once they confirmed it, you're going to start seeing a lot more come out of it. And this is very serious, Wash.
Yeah, Trump, this is Washington Post exclusive that just came out. Trump seeking executive power over elections. We've been saying it for a year. Is urged to declare emergency. Activists who say they're in coordination with the White House are circulating a draft executive order that would unlock extraordinary presidential power over voting. Just that sentiment alone. Who are these activists? Why are they in coordination with the White House? Why are they drafting the memo that the White House will then circulate that gives expansive powers to Donald Trump? And what we've always worried about is that if it seems like Donald Trump will lose, we've been saying since the summer when he was a little bit better in the pollings, this man will not leave willingly or peacefully. This is a man who incited a violent insurrection. This is a man who pardoned the insurrectionists. This is a man who still keeps lying about the 2020 election that he lost. At the top of my head, Lev, what has he done recently, folks? Just, if you don't believe me or Lev, believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. He said, Republicans, it's time to take over the state elections. time to federalize the elections. Swamp Act, we got to do the Save Act. We got to do the Save Act. He did lies about voter fraud. And the Save Act has been going to be massive voter suppression, right? Save Act, which is voter suppression.
Yep.
You have him literally saying Republicans take over state elections, him attacking mail-in voting, which is legal. Then Tulsi Gabbard joins the FBI in a raid of the Fulton County offices where they take the 2020 original ballots. Tulsi Gabbard puts Donald Trump on the phone where he congratulates the FBI agents who are raiding the office, all right? Then when it comes to the Insurrection Act, when he and Pam Bondi and Stephen Miller are asked about it, they haven't said no. They haven't said no. We've seen since the summer, right? Multiple examples, Lev, of Rackstock fires, right? Stephen Miller unleashed ICE because he wanted a crisis with protesters. Thank God they didn't give it to him. The murder of Charlie Kirk, they wanted to blame it on Antifa. It didn't work. The murder of the National Guardsman by the Afghan refugee later was found out he was radicalized in part by the CIA and became a citizen under the Trump administration. Then they're trying to work with Somalis. All right, they're trying to find any and every angle. And now we know that they literally are saying that Donald Trump, the president, has broad executive powers over elections, and he must declare an emergency. And if he declares an emergency, that would allow him to do what? The Insurrection Act, where he can unleash, we could federalize the National Guard, unleash them all across the country. And then what we've been saying, Lev, folks, we've been saying it because this is who he is. It's extraordinary measures. China is involved in foreign interference. China wants to interfere in our elections. We can't have that. I need to declare martial law, and we're going to punt on the elections until we figure it out. And then just trust me, inshallah, we'll have elections soon after I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's I love you the way you connect the dots. It's incredible, but just perfect. But yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, we're in a very, very serious situation, folks, and he sees it. You know, he has health as shit. I mean, there you can't hide. I spoke to some doctors also that he's getting intravenous treatment. You saw his hands.
He didn't look right.
He doesn't look right. He doesn't sound right. I mean, for those of you that follow him, watch him, you could tell it. I know him very well, but being close to him, especially a couple of days ago when he walked into the closed door, when he started talking about how I might not be here, people are gunning for me. I mean, these are telltale signs. It's like playing poker. I always tell you, when you're playing poker against somebody, it's not always about having good cards to win. You gotta sometimes read the person, be able to read the cards. So this is what's going on with Donald Trump. He's 100% washed behind. His health is no good. His numbers suck. The GOP is in distress. MAGA's falling apart. He knows it, and he feels the doors closing in, and that is why, besides the Epstein Files, which we are all united on, and we could continue pushing it, and we should not stop. The other thing that we need to make sure right now, sound the alarm, SOS. Make sure everybody call your Congress people, and make sure your senators, make sure everybody out there, your newspapers, and we need to be ahead of the game and say, we are not going to allow you to steal our election. We're not going to allow you to go try, but we want to see proof. What is going on? All of a sudden, they came in, just think about it. The Donald Trump was on the phone with the FBI, just like Donald Trump was on the phone with the USA hockey team. He's a micromanager. He's involved in all of this. He's calling, congratulating, like this is a game to him. He have a plan. There are things happening there. This is not just collected. So that is why it's important to keep, like I said, don't listen to what they say. They're going to come out, say some shit today. They're going to come out and try to distract. Caroline Levitt's going to come out. The most important two things we have, folks, to be able to save our democracy is the Epstein Files, which is his Achilles heel, is his kryptonite. It's what's driving this whole thing apart. And make sure that we stop this, whatever they call election reform, not let them get away with nationalizing our elections, not let them get away with taking away our rights to vote, not allow them to do that. Because if that happens, folks, everything else doesn't matter. We are in for it. So that is extremely important.
I appreciate you texting me. Folks, if you saw me texting, because while I was talking to Katie, Lev was texting me. And we just gotta, this man is negative double digits. The poll numbers are terrible. He's lost independents. He's lost Latinos. He's lost young people. His State of the Union was a disaster. They're seeing that they're going to get shellacked in the House. Now they're afraid of losing the Senate. Now they're afraid of losing Texas. Do you think they'll go? Do you think they'll allow themselves to be impeached? Do you think they'll allow themselves to be investigated? Do you think they'll allow any oversight accountability? What we've always said is prepare for the worst. Do not suffer from a failure of imagination. This man's a criminal who has incited a violent insurrection. Lev, I got to jump because I have
Yeah,
another.
go ahead, brother.
Yep. But maybe later today, we'll jump back on when as things.
Let's actually, Zev was, we were talking. He also called maybe like 7, 8 o'clock,
All right.
7:30. Let's do it tonight. We'll all together. I'll text you. We'll do a special about all of this. I'm getting some more stuff, and we'll make some more calls in the
Just
meantime.
text me and I'll try to join you. Thank you all for
Absolutely.
watching. Come back in a minute. I have Jennifer Koenigs, who has a fantastic experience at Mount Sinai Hospital. She was a nurse. She was also one of the people who did the first forensic audits of rape victims. She was the person who's qualified, and she's done a piece exposing the Mount Sinai, Glenn Dubin,
Huge.
Jeff Epstein, Virgin Islands connections, and she's also talked about Epstein and the oligarchy's obsession with transhumanism and eugenics. She's talking about that next. Thank you all. Thanks, Lev.
Thank you. Take care, guys.